So with the Battlefield 4 beta well and truly over, we only have 8 days left until the full game is released. Now this is of course the US release date of the 29th of October. If you live outside the US, your official release date is the 1st of November. Now I use the term official release date because I've had a lot of questions from players who have pre-ordered Battlefield 4 on Origin for the PC, and they've been asking me, is there a way around this staggered release date between the US and the rest of the world? Now the simple answer is yes. Now I personally don't condone this, but to answer your question, there are ways around this. So if you buy Battlefield 4 from Origin, you can play it when it's released in America on American servers, even if you're in Europe or anywhere else in the world. Now to do this is very simple. All you need to do is set yourself up a VPN or a virtual private network, and this will allow you to download Battlefield 4 and join the American servers. But I won't say much more, but yes, to answer your question, the possibility is out there. But even with that US release date, that's still 8 days before we can get our hands on Battlefield 4 again. So what are we going to do in the meantime? Well, personally, I tried going back to Battlefield 3, and it just didn't feel the same. In fact, I actually uninstalled Battlefield 3 after the beta had finished. But what am I going to play in the meantime? Well, for me, it makes logical sense to play Battlefield Bad Company 2. Now, this is for a number of reasons. The first reason being, a lot of my friends are playing it, and if you're not playing with friends and having fun, then what is the point in playing at all? And of course, Battlefield Bad Company 2 is a pretty badass game. It's one of my favourite Battlefield games, and I've always got time for Bad Company 2. But on a more serious note, if you are preparing for Battlefield 4 and want to try and get some warm-ups in before the game is released, Bad Company 2 actually makes more sense to play than Battlefield 3. There are a lot of similarities between Bad Company 2 and Battlefield 4. For example, the class setups between the two are very similar. We now have the support class and the recon class both able to carry C4 in Battlefield 4 as we did in Bad Company 2. And this C4 can no longer just be thrown 2 or 3 feet as it was in Battlefield 3, this can now be thrown pretty far again, almost as far as a grenade as we had in Bad Company 2. This is not only more realistic as C4 doesn't really weigh that much, it's only a very small item, a soldier would be able to throw this a pretty long distance, but also it makes the game more fun. You can now kind of throw these C4 over walls, throw them towards objectives, throw them a further distance towards things like tanks and vehicles, rather than just throwing them at your feet as you did in Battlefield 3. So for me, in the next few days, I think to prepare for Battlefield 4, I'll be jumping on the Bad Company 2 servers again. But not only for preparation, Bad Company 2 is a much more chilled out game, and I found Battlefield 4 is pretty intense, and I know when this game drops, not only for YouTube, but gaming itself, it is going to be a pretty intense and hectic time. So this is a kind of holiday gaming period right now in the next couple of days where I can have a chance to just chill out and play Bad Company 2. Now besides this, I do have some other preparations I want to talk to you guys about for the release of Battlefield 4. Now the first one is aimed at PC players, but don't worry you guys who do play console, I do have a question aimed for you as well. I think my audience now is split about 50-50 between the guys who do play on PC and the guys who play on console. But to start off with the guys who are playing on PC, as I have spoke about before, we did see a real issue with frame rate in the beta. It is something that DICE have said in the changelog that they are addressing, and of course you've got to remember this was the beta and it was an old model of the beta. I think it was actually created about a month before the beta was released, because on the console market for the Xbox and the PlayStation, they have to have about a month's warning to upload that beta onto the market for people to download. So the beta we played was actually quite an old beta, so these issues may have been changed even before the beta was released and we just didn't get a chance to see them. But of course, some people beside that FPS problem still did suffer with some issues playing Battlefield 4. Their PCs may not have been up to it, they may not have just had quite the best kind of equipment to play Battlefield 4. So I want to ask you guys, after playing the beta, are any of you now deciding to make changes to your hardware? Are you going to upgrade any of your parts for the release of Battlefield 4? I myself have done a video quite recently looking at my gaming setup for Battlefield 4. I talked about some of the parts I had on order, some of the parts I put into the PC. If you haven't seen that, I will leave a link to it in the description below. Recently, my new processor, the 477K, and my motherboard, the Sabertooth Z87, did show up, so I am going to be putting those into my PC either tomorrow or the day after. I did ask on Twitter if any of you guys would like to see that as a video. Would you like to see my kind of building my Battlefield 4 rig as a video? If you would, tell me in the comments below. So that's kind of my preparation. I am currently sticking with my GTX 680 4GB graphics card. I want to upgrade to the 780 Ti when that is released. It was announced pretty much this week by Nvidia. When that card comes out, I think I may be making the upgrade. But for now, my 680 seems to be running Battlefield 4 pretty perfectly. But as I said, if you are making any changes or upgrades to your PC in preparation for Battlefield 4, I want to hear from you in the comments below. Now for you console guys, for anyone who did play the beta on the Xbox 360 or the PlayStation 3, I want to hear from you. What did you think of the beta? Was it the improvement and the upgrade you expected between Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4? Or maybe now you're a little bit more persuaded to wait for Battlefield 4 on the next gen console. Maybe you won't even buy it on the Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3 at all. You're just going to wait until you get that next gen console. Of course, I played Battlefield 4 on the Xbox One at Eurogamer. I was pretty impressed. I must admit the graphics don't quite look as good as PC, but that 60 FPS was definitely a massive improvement from the current 30 FPS on the current gen consoles. But I want to hear from you guys. What's your decision? What were your final thoughts on the beta? And what's your preparation for Battlefield 4? But anyway guys, this is the end of the video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit me up with a like. It does help me out so much. As I said, leave all your thoughts and comments in the description below. I try and respond to as many of you guys as I possibly can. But in the meantime guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you soon.